My name is Joe Wick, and I'm the composer of the songs you're about to hear tonight. We're coming to you live from the Center for New Music in San Francisco, and I am presenting songs from my song cycle called Trinity. Now, usually I'm going to be presenting 14 songs tonight. Now, typically with a song cycle, a composer picks a particular poet or writer, author of some kind, and writes a whole series of songs, usually up to 12, 15 at most, around one writer. I didn't take that approach, and I decided to set one poem per poet to music. And instead of making where was the through line being that I wanted to write a song cycle around a particular theme, I chose it around poems that spoke to me about people in my life who have influenced me since I was a child. And in the course of that, I discovered that I had more than a few. And I divided the whole song cycle into 3 parts. The first part is called The Prodigal Soul, and it's all songs based on poems that speak to me about my family, my immediate blood family. And in that part, I have 18 songs written. In part 2, which I call the Epicene Heart, these are all songs that are to my not blood family, my chosen family, friends, my mentors, colleagues, people that have influenced my life as a human adult. And I've written 35 songs for that part. And the third part is what I call the rapacious body, and I'll leave your imagination to that. I've written 22 songs in that category. Tonight you're going to be hearing a smattering of things of varying length that fit into all these. The first 2 are songs that I wrote in honor of my grandparents. And I'm asking the incredible tenor Jesse Baird to come up and sing these 2 for you. The first is a poem based on a poem by Willa Cather, and it's called Evening Song. Jesse. Whoops.
Dear love, what thing of all the things that be is ever worth one thought from you or me, save only love, save only love. The days so short, the nights so quick to flee, the world so wide, so deep and dark, the sea so dark, the sea, so far the suns and every listless star beyond the light. Ah, dear, who knows how far, who knows how far, who knows how far. One thing of all dim things I know is true, the heart within me knows and tells it you, and tells it you. So blind is life, so long at last asleep, and none but love to bid us laugh or weep, and none but love, and none but love.
This second piece is based on the poem Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, written by Dylan Thomas, and it's in honor of my maternal grandparents.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should that good night. Good men, the last wave by crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the lights. Wild men who fought and sang the sun in flight, but learned too late they grieve it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Brave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes would blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Jesse there. Mr. Jesse. The next piece we're doing this is a poem based on a poem by William Ernest Henley. It's called Invictus. Many people are familiar with the poem because it became the basis for a movie featuring Morgan Freeman. And I've asked Terry McLaughlin to come forward and sing this for us. This is for my sister Julia.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I take whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced or cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shame. punishment thus grow. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I am the captain of my soul.
Terry McLaughlin. During the course of writing this, most of the poets you've been listening to right now are all poets whose work is now in the public domain. But I've worked quite a bit with poets that are living or recently passed away or have estates that are still under copyright. I was very fortunate this last year to have the opportunity to work with a poet who lives not only in San Francisco but is very comfortable working with songwriters. Her name is Joan Gelfand, and she wrote an absolutely wonderful, delightful piece about going from being jaded into accepting the fact that life is just wonderful. And I'd like to bring back Jessie Barrett to sing this song for us. It's called Cafe, and I hope that Joan is watching tonight. She was an absolute delight to work with on this piece.
Intended to fritter an afternoon espresso in hand, beret cocked to the left. It's simply a posture much too obvious to Sartre and de Beauvoir, to Posier. But in spring, logic takes a hike with reason. In spring, la 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 spring, and common sense gets on the bus, leaving us stranded at the intersection of high and falutin. Like a spring storm without any warning, I long for the peripheral scrim of conversation, the burst of sun on someone else's awning, mothers strolling, pushing babies yawning, toddlers riding bikes. But in spring, la 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 la, I'm in the swell, la 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 la, the beautiful wave of budding humanity. I blend in handedly, as necessary as the grocery. But in spring, I'm a backdrop part of the scenery, a fount of industry to be noticed and not noticed, like the newly lived willow, singing full-throated to the April breeze.
Thank you, Jessie Barrett. And thank you, Joan Gelfand. That song is called Cafe. The next song takes us back to a little bit of a darker piece. This is based on a poem by Edward Thomas that he wrote in 1916 while he was in the trenches during World War I. He died a year later. This is a piece he wrote about that fear of dying and the acceptance of it, the love of it, the love of knowing that life and death are all part of a bigger cycle. I've asked Sam Bronfield to sing these for us. Sam, come on up.
I shall die, and neither hear the rain or give it thanks for washing me cleaner than I have been since I was born into solitude. Blessed are the dead that the rain rains upon, but here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lying still awake, solitary, listening to the rain, solitary, either in pain or thus in sympathy, helpless among the living and the dead, helpless like a cold water among broken reeds. Myriads of broken reeds all still and stiff, like me who have no love, which this wild rain has not dissolved, except the love of death, except the love of death. If love it be towards what is perfect and cannot, the tempest tells me disappoint.
Sam Bronfield. I want to take this moment to say to composers, that was also a challenge for me. It was the first time ever in my entire life I've written an entire song with no accidentals. It's not something that I'm prone to doing at all. I love a lot of accidentals, but I decided to give myself the task of that. I also want to mention that song was in honor of my old friend Jane Catherine Shaw, a puppeteer in New York. The song before that was in honor of my friend Nick Hodges. So the first of the songs to ex-lovers, and this one is for my ex-lover Kelly Marsh, and I would have asked Terry McLaughlin to come up and sing it. It's called "The Passionate Shepherd to His Love." It's based on a poem by Christopher Marlowe, and every time that Terry and I, by the way, during the course of it, these are songs I've never heard live because we've been rehearsing via Zoom. It is an absolute pleasure to hear your music sung live. I will never forget this experience. Every time we've rehearsed this on Zoom, I say, well, someone's gonna get laid.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove. fragrant posies, a cup of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we bore, the slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may you move, come live with me and be my love. Come live with me and be my love. Come live with me. Come live with me and be my love. Come and be my love. The shepherd swain shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Then be my love. Then live with me and be my love.
Thank you, Terry. Terry, stick around. We're going to do one more.
We are.
This next song is based on a poem by Sir Henry Newbolt. It was written in 1898. And it's an odd piece because it's actually called Felix Antonius after Martial. It's a lovely elegy, probably done for someone's birthday, making clear to them that they were an absolutely wonderful human being, an admirable human being. And I'm dedicating this to my first choral teacher in high school, Mr. Miller. So this is Felix Antonius.
Today my friend is 75. He tells his tale with no regret. His brave old eyes are steadfast yet. His heart the lightest heart alive. spotted span, with memories of a stainless youth.
Oh my goodness, it's my turn. So I wanted to do, during the course of this, 3 of my works in progress, things that I've been working on the last 2 weeks, and they're not your typical pieces. First off, I need to say I don't have permission yet to do these. That's one of the things that goes on during COVID. A lot of the offices of literary agents and universities where poets work are all closed right now. So I've got a lot of emails and letters that have gone out saying I'd like to get permission. There's a very normal routine you follow. You sign up and get permission and promise that you'll only do the material in the United States and you won't record it without them knowing, and they get half of everything, blah, blah, blah. It's a very typical routine. But during COVID, there's no typical. And so I don't yet have permission for these, and because of that, I did not put these lyrics, the poems, on the website that you've been reading for the program. I'm doing this, and if they were to be cease and desist, I would have no problem with that, but I am going to go ahead in good faith. This first piece is called Going. Only humans believe there is a word for goodbye. We have one in every language, one of the first words we learn. It is made out of greeting, but they're going away. The raised hand waving, the face, the person, the place, the animal, the end. Leaving the word behind. And what it was meant to This is based on a poem called The Honor. If a blue-eyed cat, with fur as white as an angel, if a blue-eyed cat with fur as white as an angel, in freshly fallen snow, climbs on your chest for a nap while you're sprawled on the couch in the dining room. Set your glasses aside on the tile floor, and for that will close. Don't take a bite of that muffin you've been saving to savor since the stop-off at noon. Or unwrap that letter that a friend in Spokane spent 3 days writing to you. Do not answer the phone, even if it's your mom calling to tell you that her ship has come in. Simply let this cat pin you as they I'd like to call Jesse Barrett back up here again. We're going to do a song called Block City. It's based on the poem of the same name by Robert Louis Stevenson, and it's a wonderful poem written to a child about the creative things they can do and they never get punished for being creative. This goes out to my nephew, Daniel, who is one of the most creative children I ever saw, and became a tinker of cars now, a serious tinker of cars. This song is especially about him.
Are you able to build with your blocks castles and palaces, temples and docks? Rain may keep raining and others go roam, but I can be happy and building at home. Let the sofa be mountains, the carpet the sea. There I'll establish a city for me, a kirk and a mill and a palace beside, and a harbor as well where my vessels may ride. Great is the palace, the pillar and wall, a sort of tower atop of it all, and steps coming down in an orderly way to where my toy vessels lie safe in the bay. This one is sailing and that one is moored. Hark to the songs of the sailors on board, and see on the steps of my palace the kings, coming and going with presents and things.
Thank you, Jesse Barrett. This next song is also based on a poem by a local San Francisco poet named Pan Benjamin. She wrote an absolutely lovely piece for the Poets 11 series. It's called Lot's Wife. This is fun. This goes out to Megan Lynch.
Lot's wife came for tea. She sipped Earl Grey with delicate salt hands. Fingers trembled tiny crystals into my china cups. She reached for the sugar, melted 2 cubes on her white tongue as I asked, why turn back? You knew what would happen. Silly girl, she replied, I forgot my life. I lost myself in the city
coming to the end of the program with the last couple of songs. I would like to bring up here Mr. Sam Bronfield. We're going to be singing a song called If I Were Loved as I Desired to Be. It was originally written as a poem by Alfred Moore Tennyson in 1867, and it was originally titled Oh, Were I Loved as I Desired to Be. Along the way it got changed. This one goes out to Wayne Smith and Nickman. I have to say, it's another song that I've never heard live because I wrote it during the pandemic and we rehearsed all of this on Zoom. It's such a pleasure to hear it live. It's also one of those songs when I was trying to explain this to my siblings who, I was the one, my parents both are musicians, but my siblings aren't. And when I tried to explain that song to them, I said, well, it's like this. So I was trying to say it's one of those songs that's incredibly melodramatic, and in the time it wasn't. This is bringing to an end. This is the last song I'm going to ask Sam to do, and then I'm going to do one after this. When I was I started playing piano when I was in 4th grade, which is 9 years old, and by the time I was 16, I started taking voice lessons, and I was proficient enough of a piano player by that point to accompany myself, and I'm not, reading classical music, and they give you all the traditional stuff when you're first taking. They give you all that those kind of art songs. And I was given one art song to sing that when I played the piano for it, I had never played something that wasn't just block chords for a singer. And it was a song called Now Sleeps the Crimson Petal, Now the White. And if I remember correctly, it was written by Roger Quilter. And that song forever changed my life because I realized that the piano could be, and with a singer, could be the landscape. You could provide a visual that is not there, and it doesn't merely have to support the singer. You can create much more information. And that's where I realized what I was trying to do. And I also find that I'm drawn to Ray Vaughan Williams. And this next song I wrote to be as much like Ray Vaughan Williams as I possibly could. It's based on a poem by Louis MacNeice. It's called The Sunlight in the Garden. This is for my old friend Jeff Powell. And I've never heard this one done live either. This will be a treat.
The sunlight on the garden hardens and grows cold. We cannot cage the minutes within its nets of gold. When all is told, we cannot beg for pardon. Our freedom as freelancers advances towards its end. The earth compels upon it sonnets and the birds descend. And soon, my friend, and soon, my friend, and soon, my friend, we'll have no time for dances. The sky was good for flying, defying the church bells, and every evil iron, siren and what it tells. The earth compels, we're dying, Egypt dying, and not expecting pardon, hardened in heart anew, but glad to have sat under thunder and the rain with you, and grateful too, and grateful too, and grateful too, for sunlight on the garden.
Thank you, Sam Brownfield. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to close this sucker out. with a song that I've written. This is a song I've written that's based on a poem by Vita Sackville West, who was the lover of Virginia Woolf. And this is probably one of the most passionate lesbian love songs love poems I've read in a long time. Subtle, really subtle, but oh my God, rich. And this goes out to Freddie Angeles. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. I'd like to bring up my singers once more. You all come up here with your mask on. We'll take a quick bow. This is Sam Bronfeld, Terry McLaughlin, and Jesse Berry. Thank you all very much for joining us. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.